Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with someone you're really interested in, but your mind goes blank? It's like someone hit the mute button on your brain, right? Well, you're not alone. Today, I'm going to share with you 9 secrets to talk to girls and never run out of things to say. So let's dive in. Secret 1, the Ford method. Remember this acronym, FORD. It stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. These are safe topics that can keep a conversation going. Ask about their family, what they do for a living, what they do for fun, and what dreams they have for the future. Imagine you're at a party and you see someone you'd like to get to know better. You walk over and start chatting. Now, remember FORD, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Here's how it goes. You start with family. Do you have any siblings? You ask. She tells you about her brother who's studying abroad. You share a little about your own family, maybe a funny childhood memory. Next is occupation. What do you do for work? This opens up a whole new topic. She's a graphic designer, and you find out you both love creativity and art. Recreation is up. What do you do for fun? Turns out she loves hiking, and so do you. You talk about your favorite trails and the time you got lost but found the most beautiful view. Finally, dreams. What's something you've always wanted to do? She wants to start her own business one day. You talk about dreams and ambitions, and it feels like you're really connecting. And just like that, using FORD, you've had a great conversation without running out of things to say. It's all about showing interest in their life and sharing bits of yours. That's how you keep the chat flowing and build a bond. Secret 2, listen more than you speak. The key to being a great conversationalist is to listen more than you talk. When you listen, you'll find cues for your next question or comment. Plus, everyone appreciates a good listener. Picture this. You're on a bus and you sit next to someone who seems pretty cool. You want to chat, so you start talking about the weather. But here's the twist. Instead of just talking nonstop, you listen. Here's how it goes. You ask, "Isn't it super hot today?" They nod and say, "Yeah, it's like being in an oven." You chuckle and then wait. You don't rush to fill the silence. They look at you and add, "I wish I was at the beach." Now you've got something more to talk about. You ask, "Do you like swimming?" They start telling you about their favorite beach and how they love surfing. You listen, really listen, and learn they're pretty much a surfing champ. You tell them, "That's awesome! I've always wanted to try surfing." They get excited and start giving you tips. Before you know it, you're talking about the ocean, the sand, and all sorts of beach stuff. And that's how you do it. By listening more than talking, you've made a new buddy and learned something cool. Plus, they think you're great because you cared enough to listen. It's a win-win! Secret 3. Be genuinely curious. Be genuinely interested in what she has to say. Ask follow-up questions that show you're paying attention. It's not just about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about building a connection. Imagine you're hanging out at the park and you see someone flying a really cool kite. You walk over and say, "Hey, that's a cool kite. How do you make it do all those flips?" Now, you're not just making small talk, you're really curious about their kite flying skills. Here's what happens next. They light up because someone's interested in their hobby. They start explaining about the wind and the strings. You're all ears, asking things like, "What's the trickiest move you've pulled off?" Or, "How did you get into kite flying?" They tell you about the time they won a kite flying contest and how their grandpa taught them when they were little. You're genuinely into the story, nodding and smiling, and they can tell. You share a bit about your own hobbies, maybe that you're into skateboarding or cooking. They ask questions back, and just like that, you're having a real conversation. It's not just chit-chat, it's two people really connecting over something they enjoy. And that's the magic of being genuinely curious. You learn cool stuff, make new friends, and never run out of things to say. Plus, it's way more fun than just talking about the weather. Secret 4, avoid interview mode. Don't just fire off questions, share a bit about yourself too. It's a conversation, not an interview. Find common ground and experiences you both can relate to. So, you're at the library, and you end up next to someone who's looking at the same book section as you. You both reach for a book about space, and you laugh because it's a bit awkward. You say, "Space is so cool, isn't it?" And they agree. Here's how the conversation goes. You ask them, "What's your favorite planet?" They say, "Saturn because of the rings." You nod and tell them, "Yeah, Saturn's awesome. I love the stars too. Ever tried stargazing?" They start talking about the time they saw a shooting star. You listen, but you also share your own story about camping and watching the night sky. It's not just question after question. It's like you're swapping stories. You both talk about space movies you like, and suddenly you're not strangers anymore. You're two people sharing a bit of yourselves, laughing about aliens and having a good time. And that's what it's all about. It's not just asking questions, it's sharing parts of your life too. That way, the conversation feels more like a friendly chat and less like a quiz. Plus, it's way more fun. Secret 5. Use open-ended questions. Open-ended questions can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They require more thought and can lead to more interesting conversations. Imagine you're at a music store looking at guitars. Another person is there too, trying to pick one. You ask, "Which guitar do you think sounds the coolest?" It's not a yes or no question. They have to think about it. Here's how it goes. They start strumming a few and say, "I like how this one sounds." You ask, "What makes that one special?" They explain about the wood, the strings, and the sound. You're curious and keep the questions coming like, "What songs do you want to play?" They share their love for rock music and even play a little tune. You're impressed and tell them, "I'm trying to learn guitar too. Got any tips?" Now you're both talking about music, sharing tips, and having a blast. And that's the power of open-ended questions. They get people talking more than just a yes or no. It turns a quick chat into a real conversation, and you might even make a new friend who can play a wicked guitar solo. Secret 6. Embrace the silence. Silence isn't always awkward. Sometimes it's a chance to digest what's been said and think of what to say next. Don't panic, embrace it. You're at a diner, enjoying a burger, and the person at the next table is alone. You strike up a conversation about how good the food is here. After a bit of back and forth, there's a pause. Instead of rushing to fill it, you take a sip of your drink and wait. Here's what happens. The silence hangs there for a moment, but it's cool, not awkward. The other person looks up from their plate and says, "You know, this place reminds me of a diner in my hometown." Now, because you didn't jump in too fast, they're sharing a memory. You smile and ask, "Oh yeah? What was that place like?" They tell you about old friends and late-night milkshakes. You listen, really listen, and they can tell you're not just waiting to talk. You share a little story about your own favorite eating spot and the best dish they serve. The conversation flows, and the silence turns into a bridge, not a barrier. And that's the secret. Silence isn't scary. It's a chance to let the conversation breathe. It's like when a song has a quiet part before the chorus hits. It makes the music better. Same with talking. Sometimes the quiet bits make the chat even better. Secret 7. Keep up with current events. Having a few topics from current events up your sleeve can be a lifesaver. Just steer clear of anything too controversial. You're at a community picnic and you end up sitting next to someone who's also there by themselves. You've just finished a game of soccer and you're both grabbing some snacks. You mention, "I heard our team might win the league this year." It's a bit of news you picked up, nothing too serious. Here's how the conversation unfolds. They look interested and say, "Really? That would be amazing." You chat about the last game and how well the team played. They mention they used to play in high school, and you find out you both love the sport. You talk about your favorite players and some funny moments from games you've watched. It's easy because it's something you both enjoy, and it's current, so it feels relevant. The conversation moves from soccer to other sports, and even to upcoming local events. It's all flowing because you brought up something timely and interesting. And that's the trick with current events. They're like little conversation starters that can lead to all sorts of discussions. Just keep it light and fun, and you'll never run out of things to talk about at a picnic or anywhere else. Secret 8. Have stories ready. Prepare a couple of interesting stories about yourself that you can share. People love stories, and they're great for illustrating points and keeping the conversation lively. You're waiting for the bus, and there's someone next to you with a cool skateboard. You say, "That's a rad board. How'd you get into skateboarding?" Now, you're not just making small talk, you're ready to tell a story. Here's the story. I remember when I first tried skateboarding. I was at my cousin's place, and he had this old skateboard. It was all beat up, but he said it was lucky. So I gave it a shot, and guess what? I fell flat on my face. But then, something cool happened. I got back up, and with a bit of practice, I was cruising down the street, feeling like a superhero. The person laughs and says, "I've been there too. The first time is always a wipeout." They start telling you about their first skateboard and how they practiced every day after school. You both share stories about the scrapes and triumphs, the epic fails, and the smooth rides. It's not just you asking questions, it's a back and forth of fun tales. And that's the secret sauce. Having stories to share makes the conversation lively and fun. It's like swapping comic books or video game tips. It's not just talk, it's sharing a piece of your adventure. And who doesn't love a good story, right? Secret 9, practice makes perfect. Like any skill, conversation gets better with practice. So don't be afraid to strike up a chat, whether it's with a barista or a coworker. Imagine you're learning to ride a bike. The first time you try, you might wobble and fall, but you get up, dust yourself off, and try again. Each time you climb back on, you learn a little more: how to balance, how to turn, and how to stop. Before you know it, you're riding smoothly, enjoying the breeze in your hair. Talking to people is a lot like learning to ride a bike. At first, you might feel nervous, and you might not know what to say. But the more you do it, the better you get. Every chat you have is like another bike ride. You learn new things to talk about, and you get better at listening. Here's an example. Let's say you go to a coffee shop every morning. You see the same person making your coffee, but you've never really talked to them. One day, you decide to say more than just thanks. You ask them, "What's your favorite coffee to make?" They smile and tell you about this amazing new blend they tried. The next day, you ask them how their day is going, and they share a funny story about their cat. Each time you talk, you learn a bit more about them, and they learn about you. It's like you're both adding pieces to a puzzle. And just like riding a bike, the more you practice talking, the easier it becomes. You start to enjoy the conversations, and it feels as natural as pedaling down the street. So remember, just like biking, talking gets easier with practice. Don't be afraid to start a conversation, even if it's just a simple hello. Every word you say is a step forward, and soon you'll be chatting away without even thinking about it. Keep practicing, and you'll be a conversation pro in no time. And there you have it, folks. 9 secrets that will keep your conversations flowing. If you found these tips helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Got thoughts or other topics you'd like to see? Drop a comment below. And don't forget to check out the links in the description for more resources to help you become a conversation pro. Until next time, keep chatting.